பிரிவாசரணம் தெய்வத்தின் குரல் புக் 6 முக கமலமா முக சந்திரனா lotus like face or moon like face. Normally it is the custom for poets to compare the face with the lotus flower, saying muga kamalam or vadanaravindam. Instead of such general comparisons, here the poet, that is Sri Adi Shankara, has compared the two part by part. One of the endearing aspects of the beauty of the lotus is the gradual blooming, which you may not be able to notice in smaller flowers. The budding smile of Ambal, known as Mandasmitham, is similar to the slow blooming of the lotus flower. That smile reveals the nice set of teeth, which looks like the series of filaments known as Kinjalkam seen inside the flower. Like the lotus flower, the face of Ambal also has a pleasant fragrance. In the lotus flower, there will be honey bees hovering outside as well as embedded inside, drinking the nectar. Here, the eyes of Parameshwara, who had burnt Manmatha to ashes. Manmatha, is the god of love who had a bow with string made of a series of bees. So here, the eyes of Parameshwara, who had burnt Manmatha to ashes, have become bees which are hovering around the face of Ambal, drinking the nectar of the sweetness of her looks. The series of very small hair around her face looks like an army of small insects that have invaded this lotus flower. The poet draws so many such parallels between the flower and the face of Ambal. Like comparing the face with the lotus flower, it is quite normal to compare the face with the moon. But what can be interesting is when within such comparisons, if the poet can come out with some novel ideas. That is what he has done in the shloka number 46. To compare the whole face with a full moon is a comparison handled by many poets from time immemorial. Our Acharya himself has handled many such comparisons. Muka Kavi says in his Muka Panchashati, Raka Chandra Samana Kanti Vadana, wherein Raka means a full moon. Sri Muthuswami Dikshitar, for example, in Kanchadalaya Dakshi song says Raka Shashivadane, comparing the face of Ambal with the full moon. Here in Saundarya Lahari, the shloka number 46 is finishing with Raka Himakaraha, talking about the full moon only, but not in comparison with the face of Ambal. And had it been so, then there is nothing great about it. But what has the poet done so differently? Yes, in this shloka, Acharya says, this beautiful and brightly shining forehead of yours, which is without any faults or blemishes, is the second form of the crescent moon of gems in your crown, I think. So here, whenever he is referring to the moon in relation to Ambal, he always uses this word Himakaraha as the one that is pleasantly cool. That moon is full and bright. Does the moon discriminate as to where his brightness should reach and not reach? No, he does not. For him, the temple in Tanjore and the sculptures in Mahabalipuram are equally the same. The living spaces of a town and the cremation grounds are at par. Whether in a forest, in the penthouse of a palace, or the thatched hut, the moon does not differentiate, showering all his moonlight equally, isn't it? Just because the emperor has got constructed a mosaic of marbles called Moonlight Forecourt, or in Tamil it's called the Nila Muttram, does the moon pour some extra moonlight there, and just because there are thorny bushes in the forest, does he restrict himself? Not at all. Can't such equality of vision be yours, my mother? So, though I am completely undeserving, even me too, like the moon soaks a cactus bush in his light, soak me in the divine kindness of your Karuna Kataksham, Amma. says the poet. Thus, he has answered the question as to how can he pray when he does not deserve to pray. Periyava Sharanam.